I got something.
Click, 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 boom. What's going on, faithfuls? The Nothing But Niners crew is back. Guys, we are here with a very special guest. So before we get to the formalities, let's start by everybody pointing. I'm going to challenge you guys. Let's point and say hi to our guy, Jet Central. What's going on, Ian? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks so much for having me on. I can't wait to get into it.
All right. So, guys, man, we know how everyone's doing. We were just on the show before going over some of the injuries and all. Let's get through these formalities, and then we're going to break down this upcoming game against the Jets. If this is your first time here, make sure you guys stop by on the YouTube page, hit that like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. I can't stress that enough. Turn on those notifications so you know exactly where we're going live, especially for breaking news videos, okay? Give us a follow on some of our social media handles. We have Twitter and Snapchat. That is Nothing But 9 ERS. That is the number 9, Nothing But 9 ERS. We have Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitch. Nothing But Niners, spelled all the way out. And then last but certainly not least is the website, guys, www.nothingbutniners.com. Your one-stop shop for any and everything 49ers from us here at Nothing But Niners, except was featured on FTFN. And here we are with another person from FTFN, my guy, Jet Central. Tell them who you are, where you're from, and where they can find you. I expect to see some of these. What you guys, are you the Gangrene people?
We are. Yeah, Gangrene and all that in New York.
I expect to see some of that in here.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Some Eagles fans say Gangrene and whatnot, but, if you say that to a Jet fan, I'll definitely, say make sure that, they have that nickname. But no, I have a YouTube channel, pretty much talk all things New York Jets, called Jet Central. Born and raised actually in Florida, and became a Jet fan because my parents are from Connecticut up in the Northeast, moved down, and they were big diehard Jet fans. So kind of, ever since I was a little kid, kind of raised me with the mindset of the New York Jets are kind of the good guys and the Dolphins are the bad guys. So kind of just grew with me.
Wow. Some divisional hate, man. Guys, what are your thoughts on all that, man? I don't know what it's like to be a fan of a team that I'm not from that area. I mean, who does that? That's weird, right?
It's been weird, man. It's been weird. Growing up, everybody's wearing Dolphins merch and stuff.
And Nick's on mute. I want to hear what Nick. I know Nick had a smart ass comment for that.
I was just gonna say, yeah, okay. Your mother's a Cowboys fan, bro. So like you got like one of the biggest rivalries in 49ers history in the Niners and the Cowboys. And obviously being here on the East Coast, all of us here on the East Coast, and we're all diehard Niner fans. So that's awesome though. Look, Ian, we can't choose, well, we can choose because I got a confession. My son is a Patriots fan. I couldn't, and I gave him the choice. And the reason that I gave him that choice was because his Pop Warner team was the RV Patriots. So he grew up liking the Patriots because they were the same team name as him. And you don't fight you don't fight your kids. If they decide that's what they want to do, no matter what it is in life, you support them and go for there. So, but yeah, he's a Patriots fan. And, but yeah, normally our parents are the ones that raise us to be a fan of whatever team we are. And usually we go with that. So that's always a good thing.
For sure, man. For sure.
All right, guys. Tony's a man of very few words, so he's not going to say anything until we get down to the nitty gritty. Let's do it so we can include my guy in this conversation, man. Upcoming matchup, man. This is a big one. Someone's O has got to go. Both teams coming in here undefeated. Both teams, if they have any kind of hopes for a postseason run, it starts here. They say that anyone who made the postseason last year started off with a win in week 1. Except for one team. I think they said 11 of the 12 teams did that. And if you start 0-2, you basically can't get in. Now, there are some new rules. There's an extra team from each conference. Maybe we can be one of those. But, guys, how are you feeling about this upcoming matchup? Let's start with the guest again. And let's let the conversation take its natural course.
Right. I mean, from a New York Jets perspective, not the best. I will say this, though. I mean, it does help the Jets' case tremendously that Sherman's out, Kittle's out, Deebo Samuel's out. There's a lot of guys that, San Francisco's down a couple of dudes. Now, you can make the argument and say, hey, man, Le'Veon Bell's out as well. Jamison Crowder just got ruled out today, which is going to be a massive blow. But if the New York Jets were to have any chance in this game, normally it would if everybody was healthy, I wouldn't feel like the Jets had a shot at all. But now with San Francisco having a couple guys, down for the count, New York might have an opportunity here.
Okay. All right. He's feeling a little froggy over there, Tony, man. What are your thoughts on that, man? And do you think
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to ask you, do you think the Jets
No,
have-
he makes very valid points. Okay, we're both banged up. Both teams are banged up. It's going to be interesting to see if Greg Williams keeps being aggressive versus the 49ers. So what I mean by that is now, if he continues to blitz, I think Kyle's going to catch him. I think he's going to use his aggressiveness against him and potentially beat him on a couple plays. But listen, we're getting Garland back at the center position, which is good, even though Grosseau played a pretty damn good game versus Arizona. The most important thing here is finally our defensive line is to be able to play up to its strength. I know the Jets spend a ton of money across the board on their offensive line, bringing in Fant. They drafted Becton. They brought in the center McGovern. I think that was his name. McGovern.
Yep.
Yeah, because the Niners had interested in him too. I don't know who your two guards are, but I know they updated pretty much across the board. So it's going to be easy. Now, the question is, how much gas does this team have coming across country to play the Jets through 3 time zones, west coming east? And I honestly think this front line is going to prove a point, saying, like, we got our butts kicked. We got gas. We ran around chasing this guy all over the field. We opened up. We weren't restricted to our rush lane, so it opened up gaps where he took off. Sam Darnold's not a mobile quarterback. I mean, he could move around a little bit, but he's nowhere near Kyle Murray. So I think it's going to be interesting how this defensive line comes to this game and attacks that offense. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a great game. Our two corners are going to be Witherspoon and Mosley going up against your receivers. So listen, I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think the Niners have something to prove this week. And unfortunately, it's going to be against the Jets. But one other note, I'm a diehard Frank Gore fan, and it sucks watching him have to play against the Niners. I'm going to be straight with you.
Right. Yeah, he's actually going to be starting on Sunday. But one thing and you made, excellent points here. One thing I did want to kind of piggyback off of you was the fact that I feel like San Francisco is going to be coming in really they're going to be coming in angry. I mean, they're going to be coming in hungry for a win because I know, Mike, you just rattled off that stat in the beginning of the show. Of course, anything can happen any given Sunday and all that kind of stuff. That's why we all love football here. But, if you start the season off 0-2, your chances of, going deep into the playoffs are slim to none. So San Francisco's, they were just in the Super Bowl, and this New York Jets team, it's kind of in shambles right now. Like the entire fan base is Gase pretty much just has a target on his back. It's everything is pretty much up in arms. So that's kind of my one big concern is that San Francisco is just going to come in and just try to put the Jets out of their misery really, quick in this game in the first half. Just try to blow them out.
Yeah, and like Tony was touching on is with blitzing, that's been a thing that the 49ers have, I don't want to say have succeeded completely on, but it is something that Kyle Shanahan takes advantage of, right? So with the ability of the receivers out of the backfield, so I'm talking about running backs, the receivers out of the backfield being able to catch footballs, and usually the tight ends, right? So how will Jordan Reed look this week, right? Will he take on that bigger step in that role? Will it be a Ross Dwelly who gets more of that role and Jordan Reed still sprinkles in, right? So that's still to be seen. Another thing is I believe your other running back is questionable as well, and that's Perini, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, LaMichael Piron from he's a rookie out of UF.
Piron, that's how you say his name. I wasn't sure how you said his name, so thanks for correcting me on that. But he's also listed as questionable, right? So who are your running backs going to be if he can't go? Who are your running backs going to be going into this game?
Right. So Frank Gore is going to be, starting. The man, you guys know him quite well. But it's all signs are pointing that Piron's going to be healthy and ready to go. He's practicing and everything like that.
All right, so I want to start talking about strengths and weaknesses of each team and going up and see how they're going to match up. But one of the things I think is I heard something today about your quarterback, Sam Darnold, right? And it's that he's actually pretty athletic. Do you consider him a running quarterback? The reason I'm asking, I was listening to another 49ers podcast. They mentioned his background as a former linebacker, a basketball player. He's got good feet. He's quick. His instincts are good. And they say that he's not, a Russell Wilson out there who is, right? He's not a Kyler Murray. But they say that he can get down with the get down. And he can pull the ball down and take off just as well as anybody else can in the league, a Josh Allen, so to speak. So do you consider him a scrambler or more of a pocket guy?
So, I mean, when I think of the term running quarterback, I think of guys like Kaepernick, Lamar, Kyler Murray, just guys that want to pull the ball and just go. When I think of Sam Darnold, I think of more of a dual threat. Like he can hurt you through the air or on the ground, but he's not looking to run first, if that makes sense. Granted, he doesn't run often. The New York Jets are definitely not drawing up any sort of quarterback draws like you see with the Chargers with like Tyrod Taylor. Nothing crazy like that. But if the play does break down, it's a 3rd and 6, he will pull it down and tuck it or keep it on the read option and pick up the first down or, even in like a red zone goal line situation. One thing you'll notice with the Gase system is pretty much everything is out of shotgun. So if Darnold does run, it's when the play's breaking down or, like I said, when he's keeping it on the on the read.
And you don't think that Gase is the type of coordinator, play caller that will look at the weaknesses of the 49ers, a team that they struggled against, twice they struggled against, 3 times now, the Cardinals, and Lamar Jackson they struggled with also and lost to them as well. You don't think that he'll draw up some plays similar to what he saw to try to take advantage of what he sees as a vulnerability in this defense?
So, I mean, that's actually like a really, really, really good point. I mean, that's something that I didn't even think about, but knowing Gase, because he was with Miami before New York, right? So I've watched a lot of the Gase tape before he was even, on this Jets squad at all. So the one thing I did notice back in Miami with New York, he doesn't, because Ryan Tannehill can also hurt you on the ground too. A lot of people kind of think he's just some pocket guy who can, he doesn't have an arm to stretch the field, but he can, pull it down and go. He barely did that with Miami. Or drew up plays to kind of as that, with having their quarterback scramble as an actual point to kind of pick up yardage throughout the game. If that makes any sort of sense, it's kind of hard to word, but it's not like a tangible idea that they're going into the game with like, okay, our quarterback is going to run. If he's not running for 50 to 100 yards, we're going to lose this game. I think it's all kind of offbeat. If it happens, it happens. If not, oh well.
All right.
Yeah, and when myself and you were talking, on the show on your platform, we had talked a little bit about, you don't think Gase is that guy who's going to do, he's that guy who's going to do on 3rd and longs, he's going to do a screen that loses negative yards, right? He's not that kind of guy who does that in his playbook naturally to where, he's going to be quick, get the ball out of Sam Darnold's hands, quick to the left or to the right, those screen type passes, or those slot type of things. If you were the head coach of the New York Jets, right? How would you expect to attack the 49ers defense offensively, and how do you think Gase is going to go about attacking the 49ers defense?
Right. So, I mean, if I was in charge here, I would look at what you guys are really good at, and I would try to neutralize it. So when I look at, what the Niners have done, their track record, their resume, when I take a look at the depth chart, the roster, obviously you guys got a stacked defensive line. You guys get after the passer. You do it extremely well. Probably, I would say a top 5 defensive line in the entire league. So if I'm Adam Gase here, I'm trying to get the football out of Darnold's hands quickly. I'm trying to move him from side to side on play action because I thought Murray did a really, really solid job of doing that against, you guys in week 1, and trying to feed running backs in the flat. But I think this is just one of those weird weeks where, our 2 best offensive threats, Le'Veon Bell and Jamison Crowder, are both going to be gone. So, we're going to be counting on guys like Braxton Berrios, Chris Hogan, Frank Gore. I love Frank Gore. That's awesome. But if he's your starting running back going into the NFC, going into a 1:00 game against the NFC champions of last year, it's pretty tough. Also knowing that Adam Gase hasn't really shown a lot throughout the his first season with the New York Jets, so it's going to be tough. but that's kind of the idea. Get Sam moving, trying to get him going from sideline to sideline, left to right, and then just get the ball out of his hands quickly because, if he's holding onto the football and his first and second options of the play are being covered, it's going to be a long day. I mean, Bosa and these guys are just going to eat.
All right, so I'm going to give this to Tony, and then you guys can respond accordingly. Last year, Nick called it. He hit the nail right on the head and said that when we went up against the Falcons, a team that we felt that we were obviously better than, it was a trap game, right? You kind of overlook the opponents between the injuries and how confident this team and everyone seemed to be about the Niners against this opponent. Is it possible that the Niners slip up in this game? Is it possible that maybe, just maybe, the quick game works against two corners whose, let's be honest, their confidence are shot, right? Akello benched, right? You haven't played since when? The Super Bowl? Before the Super Bowl? When you did get out there, you got concussed. Mosley just got picked on. He let up 13 plays, 2 pass interferences. Like, it was a bad day for Mosley. And then here we go now, and let's see if, what Ian was saying, the quick outs are going to come running in because they want to get rid of the ball. They know what that 49ers defensive line is capable of. Is it possible that they take advantage of that, and maybe this is a trap game for the 49ers, Tony? What are your thoughts?
I mean, sure, it's possible. Anything's possible. That's why they play the games. But I think you're going to see a different defense because the defense that we watched last week were playing on their heels. They weren't playing on their toes. They were very passive. They weren't aggressive. At the second level, at the defensive line, the linebackers were very they were looking in the backfield always, and it slowed them down. With a more pro style, if you will, type offense, with a mobile but not running quarterback, strictly running quarterback, I think you're going to see this defense come on strong. I think Saleh will be aggressive. But back to your question, I mean, they could lose. They could lose. 1 injury, 2 injuries. If Gaze wants to move the pocket and spread them from side, run the ball, attack right, attack left, get these guys moving, the defensive line moving, on screens where they rush upfield, turn around, they're going to chase the ball carrier. So, I mean, anything could happen. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead, Ian. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just kind of flipping things, right? Talking about the New York Jets defense going up against the Jimmy G-led offense. I think if the Jets want to have any shot in this game, we're going to have to win the turnover battle. That's something that Darnold needs to clean up. I mean, his entire NFL career, it's interceptions, it's fumbles, it's just lost opportunities, just giving the ball to the defense consecutively, where the defense doesn't really turn the ball over. I mean, you look at the interception stats, they're just not there. The forced fumbles, the fumble recoveries are just not there on the defensive side of the football. So that's one thing. I feel like if the Jets want to have a shot in this game, we got to shoot for at least, and it's a lot to ask for, but 2 to 3 turnovers, and we have to win that battle to even be in the same kind of stratosphere as you guys.
And just one thing, you saw last week, you have a pretty young defense. Am I correct? I mean, Mosley was your primetime guy, your middle linebacker, your highest paid, one of the highest paid defensive players. He opted out for COVID. So now you're going with younger, less experienced guys playing at the linebacker spot. Even in the secondary, you have May as your safety. I don't know who filled in for
Jamal
Adams. Who filled in for him?
So it was Bradley McDougald from Seattle, but they're keeping him at free safety, and then they moved Marcus May free to strong. So right.
Okay. So basically, what I'm saying, you guys saw last week a top 10 draft pick who was highly touted. Right, this guy's the best athlete. He can cover the slot. He can cover outside. He can play across the board. Kyle went at him and he tested him. So I think you're going to see Kyle try to find somebody on that defense in that second and third level, and he's going to test him. And he's going to see if he can handle, the pre-snap motions. Kyle loves testing these young guys, the young linebackers on the Texas route, where you see him break out, then break back towards the middle. Mm-hmm. And there's always a crossing route to take the other linebacker out of the pocket, out of the center of the field, and it's wide open. So, I mean, it's on film. It's on film. He does it at least once a game. So Now, Greg Williams, on the other hand, 49er fans, if you think Kocurek is pin your ears back and go get the quarterback, this guy's 10 times worse. If there was anybody worse than Kocurek, it's Greg Williams. He don't give a crap. He will send freaking 7 guys, 8 guys, and play 3 back, and he will do it. But the question is, can our line hold that up and we can get the ball off quick, or they're going to penetrate our line and get the Jimmy quick? So it's going to be interesting.
Talking about offensive line and being able to hold up, right? So the good news for the 49ers is it looks like we're going to be getting Ben Garland back, who is a center, and I think is a really good center as well. How is the play of Daniel Brunskill going to be, right? Now, we obviously know that we got Trent Williams on the other side as well as Laken Tomlinson and then Mike McGlinchey. Is Mike McGlinchey going to bounce back from the game that I think he had is not as good as he's played prior in week 1, right? So is Mike McGlinchey going to bounce back? How is that matchup going to be with, us as 49er fans all know the other defensive player over there that Quinnen Williams, who
against someone who's coming
right.
Off of
So
injury,
Quinnen Williams is over there as well, which is a guy that all of us Niners fans likes. That, I mean, the fan base in San Francisco between drafting Quinnen Williams and drafting Nick Bosa was pretty much split down the middle, right? Because obviously Nick Bosa's injury, his core, to his core, blah blah blah. Obviously the Niners went with him. Quinnen Williams has, not really had that year yet because of an injury. But how is that matchup going to be, right? How is that Nick Bosa, Mekhi Becton matchup going to be, right? So we just seen what Nick Bosa does, all year, obviously the returning rookie defensive player of the year. How is that matchup going to be, right? So I watched this and I saw a tweet that went out too on the Jets, and it says, before their final garbage time touchdown, the Jets only had 2 drives that went for more than 19 yards out of 10 possessions offensively, right? Yeah. New York had 5 drives where they didn't gain more than 5 yards. Their first 5 drives only totaled 27 yards. Yeah. That's their offense, right? So how is this offensive line going to hold up against that front 5, right? Or 4, I should say, sorry. And then obviously our linebackers too. And then on the other hand, how are our guys that are coming back going to hold up against the defensive line of the New York Jets? So obviously Quinnen Williams is there. You have some studs on that defensive line as well. And like I said, I don't think Mike McGlinchey had a really good game last week. Now, can he play better? Yes. Does he bounce back? And then with the addition of Ben Garland coming back, if he starts at center, does that boost our line? So what are your thoughts on our offensive line against your defensive line? And then obviously the defensive line with the combination of D Ford, we're not sure if he's playing right now. He had an MRI on his neck, so that could be we're not sure. He's listed as questionable, I believe, or they haven't even said if he's questionable or not questionable. But the Nick Bosa, Mekhi Becton really intrigues me on what you think is going to happen with that matchup there as well.
Dude, well, to be honest with you, man, I'm glad that you brought up the D4 thing because I had no idea. I thought he was 100% healthy and ready to go. In all honesty, man, if you go back and you watch the tape of Jets Bills, and I'm sure you guys know Jerry Hughes, Mekhi Becton manhandled him. Throughout the game, he was just tossing him down, pancaking him. Becton looked absolutely amazing, right? So definitely something to build off of from there. But as a full unit, right, as a 5-man unit here, I think it's going to be Jets offensive line I'm talking about. I think it's going to be an extremely big challenge to guard all these guys because, I mean, you're looking at a situation here where San Francisco does not have to blitz and they can easily get pressure against this Jets O-line. So kind of going back to my original point that we were talking about in the beginning, which was getting the football out of Darnold's hands quickly, I think that's going to have to happen. I don't see a situation where Darnold can just sit back there and have all day to throw because as good as Becton played, he's still a rookie. He's still going to be playing against his playing in his second game against that that nightmare of a defensive line that you guys are bringing to the table here. And then to kind of flip it, I do think our defensive line matches up pretty well with you guys because the New York Jets defensive line can stop the run. That's the one. They can't really get after the passer unless they're blitzing, really sending like a slot guy off the edge, or like having Marcus May roam in the box and sending him on like a sneaky blitz. That's kind of how the Jets have gotten to the quarterbacks under Greg Williams. And then, of course, Jamal Adams did the same kind of thing last year. But as far as our defensive line stopping the run, because I know the Shanahan offense is built off of like misdirection, pre-step movement, and then play action. So I think if we could stop the run early and force Jimmy G in the 3rd and longs and really make his arm beat us, again, I think we have a chance combined with the turnover aspect. But it is a lot to ask for. But to answer your question, Nick, I definitely think the Jets' defensive line has a really, really good chance against your offensive line.
That's very interesting because there's not been a lot of continuity this entire offseason. We have been dealing with injury after injury along that offensive line. And this front five that we're going to run out here today, this is their first week practicing together. Since when? Early August? I don't even know if they practiced together then. So this is going to be their first time getting out there together. This is going to be their first, live full action out there. So it's going to be interesting. I didn't know that Ford had a MRI on his neck. I just knew that they had neck spasms, and they said he was day to day. I didn't know that it was that serious. So that's something I'll keep an eye out on also. But I want to ask you about a part of the game that no one, well, I won't say no one, but people rarely speak about. That's going to be special teams. Last week, the 49ers basically gave up 7 points on special teams with the block punt. There was a blitz stunt type of deal that came right down the middle. It was all scheme. It wasn't about, this person messed up or this person didn't. But how are the Jets looking on special teams? This is the third aspect of the game that just seems to go unmentioned a lot of the times. And as you can tell, this was basically a game-winning play. The Niners lost that game by 4? And that was a 7-point play, essentially. So it can make a big difference. How are the Jets on special teams?
So they're okay. They're not great. They're not, I wouldn't go as far as to say that they're a good special teams unit, but they're definitely not bad. The kicking is a little bit of a question mark. It's Sam Ficken going into his second year with the New York Jets. And he was, I guess average last year, not the best, not the worst. So, just kind of run-of-the-mill stuff. Now, as far as punting goes, we actually have a rookie punter, and we got the best punter in the draft, based off of college resume, college tape, and all that kind of stuff. And he did really, really well against the Bills. So as far as being able to pin San Francisco back, hopefully, within 20 yards from your own end zone, and forcing the Jimmy G offense to go 80 yards, 85, 90 yards downfield, that could be beneficial. But as far as just an overall unit, the Jets special teams, I would say, is probably average or a little bit below.
All right, so no real advantage there, man. That's very interesting. I'm going to shut up and give the floor back to the other guys and see if they have any other questions for you.
Tony, you got anything? All right, so I got one more for you. So obviously Frank Gore, right? So you're going to have to establish some type of run game, right, on the 49ers. And you said that, your defensive line is really good with the run, right? So being down a Le'Veon Bell and going in with a guy who is just now getting back to practice, and then a Frank Gore who is aged, and obviously we all love Frank Gore and we hope to see him succeed other than this week, right? But how do you think your run game holds up with putting everything on the shoulders of Frank Gore as being that guy this week and trying to establish a run game? Do you think that the age will come in with the amount of carries that he's going to be expected to take compared to what he's been doing over the last 2 or 3 years? He's kind of an in and out guy. How many snaps do you think that Frank Gore will have, or do you think they will be split evenly between Perrine? You said Perrine? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Perrine.
Perrine. Okay, so between him and Perrine, how do you think your run game holds up against this defensive line throughout the game? And do you think, well, obviously we'll ask this question later. Go ahead. You're good.
Yeah, no. So normally, like on paper, it looks like a train wreck, right? We have a super old running back going up against that defense with, a below average offensive line, a lot of moving parts, a lot of young guys. But when you look at the stats, Adam Gase just doesn't like running the ball. I mean, he just doesn't. He tries to replace the run game with the short pass game. At times it can be frustrating. At times it can work, but that's few and far between when it does. So, as far as just strictly the run game, I like our chances, but it's up to Adam Gase to not do these 2nd and 10 obvious handoff situations, because he has a tendency, and you trust me, you guys will pick up on it. These 3rd and long screens, it'll be 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 9, and it'll just, Darnold will snap the ball, dish it right out to Brashad Perryman on the outside or whoever it may be, Chris Hogan, Braxton Berrios, and there's going to be a lot of just these screen type plays that just they never go anywhere, and it is frustrating to watch. But again, to answer your question, I think the run game will be okay if it's utilized in the correct way.
You sound like you're going through what we went through with Chip Kelly, and I feel for you. It takes a lot to watch games like that, just knowing how awful the team performs, and then it's not always reflective of the talent that's on the field as far as the athletes themselves. You can tell it's play calling, it's the decision makers, the higher ups that are kind of being stubborn. I'm not going to use these players to the best of their abilities. I want these players to do it my way. And it sounds like that's what you're seeing. As you were describing Gase as being, I want to replace the run game with the short passes. I thought about Sean Payton, what he did that year. Drew Brees went over 5,000 yards. It was the short passes, like they snapped the ball, quick throw to the running back instead of letting him just hand it off to him. And it was stuff like that. What do you think the biggest strength for your team is overall? Don't give me a weakness. Like, if you could pick one strength, like this is drive it home. This is what we're really, really good at.
I would say confusing the opposing quarterbacks on defense, just with Greg Williams' scheme, with his play calls, giving the quarterback different looks, having moving parts on defense. And Garoppolo will get the ball out of his hands quickly, and he will complete a lot of passes. But as far as those passes being 10, 15 yards downfield, I don't really see that happening. I think it's going to be more so quick little like 5 and outs, slants, screens type, quick little curl routes, stuff like that. But I definitely think that would be the strength of the team. And by the way, it's funny that you mentioned Chip Kelly too, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I do remember those Niner Chip Kelly teams where I never really used to watch the Niners that much, but I would always kind of see the scoreboard on like the ticker and whatnot. And I feel like those teams would always get out to like a 10-0 lead or a 14-0 lead, but then the final score would be 35-14.
Yep.
And it was like that every week. But with Gase, it's like it's everything that you mentioned. It's his way or the highway. I mean, we saw Jamal Adams, who was adamant about being a Jet for life, turning the thing around, winning a Super Bowl with New York. And then he's gone within 1 year. And you saw it with Jarvis Landry. You saw it with, guys like Ryan Tannehill. Now he's with Tennessee, just doing his thing. Devontae Parker's kind of emerging in Miami now that Gase is gone. But the thing with Gase is like we're not even up 14-0 at the start of the games. We're 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. So that's definitely the toughest part of watching these games.
I want to know an honest question, moment of honesty here.
Yeah.
Did you track or watch Jamal Adams last week?
I did, with a broken heart, man. It was tough to watch. Like, I'm happy for him. Like, I like Jamal. He was a beast, dude.
He was phenomenal last week, man.
Yeah, he's a ball player. I mean, I will say this though, like if I could go back in time and do the trade again, I'd still go through with it. I mean, we got 2 first-round picks, a 3rd-round pick, and Bradley McDougall, who is looking like our free safety for at least the foreseeable future, if not like a long-term answer, but at least a stopgap guy. So I mean, we got a huge haul in return for him, and then Jamal is he's kind of one of those guys that likes to run his mouth, kind of almost like a defensive Odell Beckham or like a OBJ on the defensive side of the football. So you always have to kind of wonder what's going to be said after the games, which is always kind of annoying. But as a player, I wanted Jamal out of LSU. We got him. I was totally pumped up, and it sucks that the courtship ended how it did.
Man, I don't know if anybody else saw. I know you said you did, but 1 sack, 8 solo tackles. He assisted on 4 others. He had 2 tackles for loss, 2 separate quarterback hits. This guy is an animal, man. He's going to be a problem on that defense. People say, "Oh, well, so what? The Seahawks don't have a pass rush." There it is. The
Mhm.
sack, 2 tackles for loss. Like, that's 3 hits behind the line of scrimmage right there. Oh, my God. Oh, my. All right, I'm sorry. I know I'm getting off on a tangent. I'm going to shut up. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy how he played last week. He was all over the field, right? So he was definitely all over the field, and it was kind of like a hint to like, yeah, I'm bored over here. Like, you know how they were saying that he's going to be bored in that Seattle defense and type thing. But, you know, it was big. But, you know, I was watching your show the other night, Ian, and you were talking about Adam Gase about, I believe it was something your owner was saying with Adam Gase, right? So, and you were saying, like, I just don't see this. Like, you know, you talked about how the owner said that Adam Gase is this brilliant offensive mind type of guy. And yet your stats, you were saying that, you know, you put 16th and above as average, you know, in that vicinity. And you guys have offensively, you know, have finished 17th and below, you know, in a Jets offense, as well as Gase in the Miami Dolphins offense, 17th and below. What do you predict your offense to be this year? Do you think that you'll be in that same range? Or last year you were what, 32nd?
Yeah, man. Dude, we were dead last in offense. And like we were dead last in total offensive yards, to get specific with the stat. We were 31st in rushing yards. And then we were, I believe, 29 or 28 in overall pass yards. When you look at the stats, they were horrible. I mean, even like when you look at total points, first downs, 3 and outs, all that stuff, like the kind of the super specific stuff, it was bad. And then for Chris Johnson, the Jets acting owner, to come out and just after getting like just like watching the Jets get their doors blown off by Buffalo, and then to see the owner come out and just say, Adam Gase, after finishing, like, you know, putting up those offensive numbers last year, watching week 1 getting killed, and then for him to come out and say Adam Gase is a brilliant offensive mastermind, it rubbed a lot of Jets fans the wrong way. And I just wanted to kind of point out that even back in Miami, back in 2016, when the Dolphins made the playoffs, 16, 17, 18, 19, you know, up through his New York Jet career, he's never finished even above average, or never been at that average mark, which is 16. You know, it's always been below average. So to come out and say, you know, this, I mean, if you want to talk about brilliant offensive minds around the league, you think Shanahan, you think Andy Reid, you think Sean Payton, you think Sean McVay, like you kind of think Cliff Kingsbury, which, by the way, the Jets they passed on Kingsbury to hire Gase. So, you know, it's definitely a tough pill to swallow.
That division loves recycling coaches. And you know what's weird is that our defensive coordinator just said the same thing. He's a brilliant offensive mind. I know Tony has a question for you, but I just thought that was funny hearing you say what they said about him before they hired him. And then our defensive coordinator echoed the same exact thing today. So I just thought it was weird that you said it that way. All right, Tony, I'm done. I know Ian's got to go soon. Tony, I'm giving it back to you. I'm sorry.
Just one quick question. You said you feel that the strength of your team is your defense against our offense. So I just want to ask you, do you feel that your defense is disciplined enough to face an offense like Kyle's with all the pre-snap motions and all the misdirections and stuff like that? Because like I said before, you're without your leader in CJ Mosley. Everyone across the board is young. Some of them are really inexperienced. So it's going to be a true test to this defense at the second level. I'm not questioning your ability to get to the quarterback and blitz, but I'm talking of a situation where he starts moving at double motion and shifting the whole formation, and then he snaps the ball, and it potentially could be where your defense is not set. Do you think they can make that adjustment, and do you think they can step up their game to handle that from Kyle's offense?
Right. It's a great question. I mean, in a perfect world, yeah. But the fact of the matter is that the New York Jets defense is young. We don't have a Jamal Adams anymore. We don't have a CJ Mosley anymore. We have a bunch of young guys, a bunch of late round picks on this defense with no preseason tape, no preseason reps. We only have the one game against Buffalo to kind of show for it. And I know you can point back to 2019, but I mean, like Mike, when you rattled off Jamal's stats, I mean, those stats speak for themselves. Adams was the same player last year that it's looking like he's going to be with Seattle. this is a brand new defense here. Marcus May's in a brand new position, got new faces all over the league or all over the defense. And when you look at all the other defenses across the league, Seattle's, LA Rams, Cardinals, for the West, I mean, the Niners were in the Super Bowl last year, and part of the reason was stopping the Niners offense was difficult to do. So I still think it's the strongest unit on this New York Jets team. And by kind of how I referenced it was, or, the meaning behind it, how I referenced it was the defensive looks, like confusing the quarterback pre-snap and post-snap as opposed to just players on a roster. Just being better than opposing offenses and whatnot, like enforcing their will. It's just a matter of smoke and mirrors on defense, trying to get the quarterback to throw it here or get him confused, hold on to the football or throw it away, stuff like that. But to answer your question, it's gonna be interesting to see kind of how everything happens. But being realistic, being an honest Jet fan here, I would say no, probably not.
All right, you kept it real. Your guy here, Dylan Alex. I'm assuming he's one of your I was going to say you're faithful, but someone who supports your Jet Central channel. So I actually hope we lose by 50 so we can be fired. Do you feel that way about Gase? I mean, you can be honest here. I mean, listen, we don't hold back on this show. You can curse, by the way. I mean, listen, I remember being Chip Kelly watching those games. There was a lot of negative talk, so I get it. You can say how you feel, and speak freely, but. Is this a sentiment that you share here?
So it's really, I mean, the Jets fans are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because, I mean, I know it, Dylan knows it, you guys know it. Adam Gase isn't winning a Super Bowl. I mean, that's not going to happen, man. Like, I cannot see that him going to Kansas City and beating the Chiefs or going to Baltimore or whatever, Pittsburgh coming into town. And I don't see this Jets team led by Gase doing anything deep in the playoffs. But at the same time, you want your team to win. But it's like, if the Jets do win, it kind of solidifies Adam Gase staying longer. But if they lose, and it sucks, but then it kind of, speeds up the process of getting Gase out of here. So I guess there's pros and cons to both sides of it if you want to look at it like that. But as far as like me, like, do I want the Jets to like go out there and lose by 50? If it happens, it just kind of really just kind of makes Jets fans dig their heels into the ground with the whole, it's us against Gase. We need to get him out of here. I'm active. Like, I'm not going to go out there and actively root for the Jets to lose and like for our guys to like get hurt and throw picks and all that kind of stuff. It's not really like the type of fan that I personally am. Cause then like, what's the fun of even watching? But if it happens, it happens. And it'll piss a lot of people off, but a lot of people will be happy too,
So tell Mike and Tony who you want to be your next head coach.
So there's a couple different guys, and it's still early, but one of the front runners, man, is your defensive coordinator, Saleh. But the thing is with him, it's like, can he develop a quarterback? So say Darnold's not the answer, say he is the answer, whatever. Like Saleh comes to the building. Can he develop Sam? I don't know. If Sam's not the guy and we get rid of him, and we go and we're worst team in the league, we go draft Lawrence or Justin Fields or whoever it may be. Can he develop one of those guys? Like, does he know the offense like that? Or is it going to be a situation kind of like Todd Bowles and Rex Ryan where it's, we're just going to focus on the defense and we'll just hire an offense. It's almost like a co-head coach. Like you have two head coaches, one on defense, one on offense, and then that's pretty much it. Rex Ryan had no say in offense. Todd Bowles had no say in offense. And, we're seeing that now with Adam Gase, but just it flipped. Gase has no control or no input on the defense at all. Hey, Caden, I appreciate that, man. Thanks.
Yeah, guys, if you guys are just checking in, this is Ian from Jet Central, guys. Make sure that you're over here and you're a Jets fan, or if you're a Niners fan and just want to watch what he has to say as well, go over there and subscribe to his channel, Jet Central. Ian, it's been great having you, but go ahead, Mike.
No, but just my last thing in response to what he said about Saleh. It's weird. You said, well, it's not weird, but you said that the defense was the best part. You would want to get rid of Williams.
Well, that's the thing is that it's like, if you get rid of Gase, you essentially have to get rid of the staff too. Right. I mean, of course, we've seen situations before where the interim guy steps in and, does his thing for a little bit, gets a couple wins, and has an opportunity to, become the head coach or interview for that position, what have you. And we actually saw it with Greg Williams, ironically enough, back in Cleveland, where they fired Hugh Jackson early on in the season, I think like at 4 or 5 weeks in, and they were horrible. Greg Williams steps in, and then the Browns, I think, won 6 or 7 games that year. With the tie. So, and he ended up not getting the job. But I do like Greg a lot. And if he becomes like, if that's the situation where Gase gets fired early on in the year, and Greg shows out, and this Jets team wins 6 or 7 games under Williams after going like winless with Gase, I definitely would give him a look, because he hasn't had his shot. I mean, he's always been the defensive coordinator for the Saints, the Titans, the Rams, all these different teams, Cleveland, but he's never really had that like true opportunity.
Right. Okay.
I think wherever Saleh does go, I think I can't even think of his name right now, is going to follow him.
Our quarterback coach?
Yeah, our quarterback coach.
LaFleur,
the other LaFleur brother.
Yeah, good point.
I think he would follow and be an offensive coordinator somewhere. So that is a guy that could develop Sam Darnold. So, you could look at it that way as well. Like, hey, I'll give you an offensive coordinator position. I'm going over here. And now you can't block coordinators from going anywhere, as the Niners got lucky with this year. Were able to block people from going anywhere. So I think that's wherever Saleh goes. I think Mike LaFleur might be a package with him to go wherever he goes as well.
That's interesting, man. That's really, really interesting. And, if the Jets do go out and, down the road, fire Gase and hire somebody from the Niners staff, you guys are more than welcome to hop on and just break down the hire and stuff like that over on my channel as well. Feel free. But I think, checking out the Vegas odds, I think it was Gase is like the highest chance of getting fired. And then right underneath him is Matt Patricia. So it's like a tie between those two guys on who's going to be fired first.
I made a mistake. I'm sorry. So our offensive offensive coach guy. So Shane Day is a quarterback's coach.
Right.
I apologize.
It's one of the offensive assistants. I think it's Mike LaFleur or Matt LaFleur.
Mike LaFleur is the run game coordinator. Yeah,
run game coordinator.
No, passing game coordinator. McDaniels is the run game coordinator.
Yeah. I meant passing. I'm sorry. But yeah, I thought I knew who you were talking. I thought you were talking about LaFleur, but I fucked that up. That was my
Still LaFleur, though. I still think LaFleur would be a guy that goes over as an offensive guy with him there. And Mike McDaniels is the quarterback or is the passing game coordinator, correct?
No, run game coordinator.
Run game. LaFleur is the passing, and then Shane Day is the quarterback's coach.
Yeah.
Sorry. There we go. Got it all.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I remember LaFleur was trying Matt LaFleur was trying to get his brother to Green Bay last year, but it was blocked by Shanahan.
Right. So, all right. So, look, man, that's pretty much all I got for questions. And I mean, I said I'd keep you here 30 minutes. We got about 47 minutes out of you, which is good. It's been great talk, but I need to dig into this, man. We all got to get your score prediction and what you think is going to happen in this game. And I'm interested to hear what you got to say.
Oh man, it's tough, dude. Like, I mean, my heart, right, as like a diehard Jet fan here, wants to say like close game, like we grinded out defensive battle 17-20.
Y'all win?
Yeah, but my brain is telling me, San Francisco like 34, 35, New York Jets 16 or something. So,
all right, it's going to be an interesting game, man. Like we talked about before earlier in the show, a lot of injuries on both teams, missing key pieces, right? Obviously, Jamison Crowder, George Kittle, Richard Sherman, Le'Veon Bell. Like, there's a lot of big name pieces for these offenses and defenses out, and it's going to be an interesting game, man. I think it's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be a battle to start, and I'm not going to go too much into it because if you want to know what I got to say, you got to check out our show on Saturday. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. Tony, you got anything else for Ian?
No, I'm good. Just appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It was awesome.
Yeah, and that's it for me also, man. You've been great, and I normally say good luck, but that's BS. No,
Hey, look, man, let's just hope we both get out of this game with no more injuries for the season headed forward. Because without training camp or without preseason games, a lighter training camp, no OTAs and things like that, man, it's a lot of muscle injuries, strains, things like that, soft core or soft tissue injuries. So let's hope that everybody gets out of this game healthy. Hopefully it's a good game. Obviously, I hope the Niners win. But Ian, man, it's been a pleasure. Tell everybody where they can find you again. So guys, go over there and like and subscribe and let him
know. So Jet Central on YouTube, simple as that. Just big New York Jets YouTube page, trying to post daily New York Jets news and kind of different, opinions, thought videos and stuff like that too. So thanks so much, guys. I had a great time. It was a blast.
All right.
Yeah, definitely, Ian. Appreciate you, man. And you guys see it right there, YouTube, Jet Central, just as Ian said right there, man. It's been a pleasure having you on. I appreciate you coming on the platform, man. And maybe later in the week, if we get a chance, we can do a rebuttal on what happened with the game. So
let's do it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let us know. And, more than welcome. And appreciate you having me.
Like that?
What's that?
Why you said you liked him. He's been good. Why would you torch him by making him come back on and relive the nightmare that's about to happen on Sunday?
All right, if you guys lose to the New York Jets, you got to come on, JC, talk about what happened. Own up to it. You guys love the Jets.
We do it. We do it, man. We do it. And just like I said, vice versa, platforms or whatever, man. Hit me up. You got my number, so we'll talk. And really appreciate it, man. Great insight for the Niners fans as well as the Jets fans that are in here. So there wasn't a lot of shit talking going on in the chat. I love it. So all our fans are saying thanks, and we appreciate you, Ian, man. It was great concept and great insight.
Yeah, no, I appreciate all you guys and everybody that watched. It was a great time.
All right, that's going to do it for us here, man. You guys already know what to do. Prepare for glory.
Anticipate pain.
But always remain faithful.
We out of here.
Peace.